Greetings and welcome to Lesson 2.3, Measures of the Location of Data. First things first, go through the terminology for this section. Click on each of the words to become familiar with its definition and meaning. Occasionally in your math classes, you'll learn a new symbol. This class is no different. We have 3 new symbols you need to understand. The first one is the capital Greek letter sigma. It looks like a very weird looking E. All this means is summation. In other words, add your values together. So if you had a lot of x values, then you would just add those x values together. Our next symbol is X with a line on top of it. We call this X bar. And X bar is the mean for the sample. So as in the average sort for a sample set. Our next new math symbol is mu. It's mu, the Greek letter, lowercase. It kind of looks like an M and a U together, and it's actually mu. This stands for the mean or average for a population. In statistics, measures of location are these special values that will stand out in our data. You've already kind of been aware of some of these measures of locations. The mean, aka the average, the median, and the mode you've probably learned about before in past math classes. The mean, you just add up all your values and divide by how many you have. In statistics, we have 2 means. We have the X bar, which is the mean for the sample, and mu is the mean for the population. Now, the calculation is exactly the same. You add up all the X values and divide by how many values you have. And you might be wondering why we have 2 different ways of writing it. It's just meaningful to say X bar because we know we're talking about a sample, and mu, we know we're talking about a population. Percentile. Percentile is a fairly easy calculation, but the calculation we have is to find the index of the value, meaning the position in a sorted list. And whatever value we're looking for percentile, let's say we're looking for the 34th percentile, our K would be 34. So 34 divided by 100 times however many we have plus 1. That would give us the index, in other words, the position of that percentile value in our list. It's going to give you like a 5, a 6. It might give you a decimal value. If it does, let's say this calculation gives us a 5.1, then you would look at the 5th value and the 6th value, and you would take the mean of those 2 values. I'll show you later on in an example. Median is the 50th percentile. It's the absolute middle value. So it's the 50th percentile. Quartile. Quartiles are very special percentiles. The first quartile is the 25th percentile. The second quartile is the 50th percentile, also known as the median, and the 75th percentile is the third quartile. Another measure of location is the mode, the value that occurs most frequently. We won't work with the mode all too much. Mostly we'll look at mean, median, percentiles, and quartiles for now. Let's run through an example. For the following 14 real estate prices, we're going to calculate the mean, the median, the mode, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, the interquartile range, and the 34th percentile. And then we're going to determine if any of the prices are potential outliers. Let's first calculate the mean. The first thing we need to do is add all our values. So there are 14 values. We'd plug these into a calculator, adding them all up, and we get 11,403,200. Now, since we have 14 values, we're going to divide that total by 14, and our X bar will be 814,514. Let's now calculate the median. First things first, we need to sort our values from low to high. Finding the median won't work unless we sort our list because we're looking for the middle value. Now with a list of 14 values, there's not going to be a middle value. We will have two middle values. In fact, it will be the 7th value and the 8th value. And for us, that's 479,000 and 488,800. We're going to take the average of these two values, and that will be our median. So we're going to add these two values together, divide it by 2, and we get 483,900 for our median. Now let's calculate our mode. It's easy enough if our list is sorted. We're just looking for the value that happens most frequently. And it looks like we only have one value that duplicates itself, and that's 158,000, and therefore that is our mode. Now let's calculate Q1. Q1 is really the percentile 25. So we're going to use the percentile indice formula to figure this out. So our K value is 25. Our N is the 14 data values we have. So 25 times 14 plus 1 all over 100, that gives us 3.75. Because it's not an integer value, we're going to go with the value index of 3 and the value index of 4. So those two values sitting in the 3rd position and 4th position, we're going to find the average of. So 158,000 is sitting in the 3rd position, 230,500 is sitting in the 4th. Let's take the average, and therefore Q1 is going to be 194,250. Let's calculate Q2. Now Q2 is very easy to calculate because we already calculated the median. The median is Q2, and therefore Q2 is 483,900. Let's now calculate Q3. Q3 is calculated very similar to Q1, and therefore we're going to use the p-index formula to find the index of the value where the Q3 sits, the position. This time our N value is 75, our K value is 75, our N value is 14, and throwing it into our calculation, we get 11.25. We need the position before 11.25 and the position after 11.25. So we'll use the position of 11 and position 12. In position 11, we have 639,000. In our 12th position, we have 659,000, and therefore we need to take the average of these two values. The average of these two values is 649,000. So Q3 is 649,000. Since we've calculated Q1 and Q3, we might as well calculate the interquartile range, IQR. The interquartile range is calculated by Q3 minus Q1. In other words, Q3 is 649,000, Q1 is 194,250. Taking the difference of those two values, we get 454,750. Yep, it's that simple of a calculation. For our next calculation, let's calculate the 34th percentile. We've used the percentile index formula a couple of times, so I'm just going to splash it up there just to remind you of how to use it. K in this case is 34. Our N is still 14 values. Once we plug it into the formula, we get 5.10. We're going to take the lower index, 5, and the higher index, 6, and we'll take the average of these two values that are sitting in those positions of 5 and 6. Once we do that, we get the 34th percentile of 388,475. Let's do one more thing and find our outliers. We're going to try and find our low outlier limit and our high outlier limit and see if our data falls either below or above these values. For our low outlier limit, It's Q1 minus 1.5 times our interquartile range. Plugging in our value for Q1 in our interquartile range, we get 194,250 minus 1.5 times our 494,750, and we get a negative 487,875 for our value. Now, because we don't have any negative numbers, therefore, we're not going to have any low outliers. We're not going to have a value below that. Let's now calculate our high outlier limit. Let's take Q3 plus 1.5 times our interquartile range. Plugging in these values, we're going to get 649,000 plus 1.5 times the 454,750, and we get 1,331,125. We do have a value above this limit, and that value is 5.5 million, 5,500,000. And therefore, we only have one outlier for this data. Let me quickly run through how to calculate the mean, the median, quartile 1, quartile 3 with our TI-84 calculator app. First things first, you need to put your data inside the list. Now, if you already have data in the list, you can actually clear that out pretty easily by clicking on Stat. Go down to 4, either type in a 4 or use your arrow keys, and it will say Clear List. Now, if you have more than one list, you can clear these at one time by saying second 1 to clear L1, comma, second 2 to clear your list 2. And if you have more lists, list 3, list 4, you can add them with the comma. If you just have list 1 having data in it, you can just do the L1. And then hit enter and it will show that it's done. To verify that, go to Stat, Edit, which is a 1, and your list is cleared out. Now it's time to key in our 29 ages for our Academy winning Best Actors. And they are ordered for us, so if we wanted to find the median, we could, but I'm just going to key in the data. So I'm going to type it in, 18, enter. 21, enter. 22, I know it's fairly boring. 26, 27, I just want to make sure I'm keying it in correctly. 30, 31. I have my press key history open right up here, so I'm kind of double checking, making sure what I'm keying in is correct. 33, if I go too fast, I've noticed it doesn't keep up with me very well. So I'm going to continue. You can fast forward if you don't want to see me key in all these values. If you're working along with me, maybe it's helpful to be right where I am. 69, 71, 72, 73, 74, 76, and 77. Okay, so I just want to double check that all my values are in. And I'm just double checking that there's no single digit in there. Looking good so far. Okay. And I just want to double check that that 77 got in there okay. I think it did. Doesn't hurt to verify what you've done. Okay, so all the data points are in there. And now what we're going to do is go back to stats now that our list is entered. And instead of going to edit, I want to go to calculation. And I'm going to go to first var stats for one variable stats. So you can either hit 1 or one variable stats. Our list is L1. Make sure that I don't care about my frequency list. I don't have that, but I am going to calculate. So a frequency list is if I had a different type of number set, but I'm just going to hit calculate. Now, when I hit calculate, it's going to give me a lot of information. But again, I am only concerned with the mean, the median, the quartile 1, quartile 3. Okay, I know that my mean X bar is 48. My Q1 is 29.5. Now I can hit, for more information, just hit down. The median is 47, and the quartile 3 is 68. Now I can also double check that my minimum X is 18, my maximum X is 77. We will be using these other values that are on the screen, but for now, just concentrate on the X bar, Q1, need, and Q3. That's it. That's how you calculate it on the TI-84. You've reached the end of this lesson.